back to another monthly market update for the Columbus, Ohio real estate market. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, and in today's video, we do a deep dive into the June 2024 numbers as we're sitting here late July. As we get these numbers, I'm going to show you how last month, if you followed along, how I kind of predicted what's happening today, and hopefully that can show you what's going to happen the next few months if you're looking to make a decision whether to sell or buy a home in the Columbus, Ohio market. So stay tuned as we dive into the numbers. All right, as you can see here, I've got the June 2024 numbers pulled up for us. This is provided by the Columbus Board of Realtors, and this is actually available to the public on their website at columbusrealtors.com. Go check it out if you're interested in diving into your area as well. They have it broken down into areas as well as the general information that we're looking at right now of the whole Columbus region. I want to recap just kind of what's going on in June, what we saw. We are seeing, we saw less closed sales, which is interesting because we actually had more availability in homes available. As we've seen, we actually have, I'm going to come back to the inventory home, but we have a lot higher inventory, but we still saw less homes being sold, which I want to just point out that shows me that there's more houses on the market, but they're not what the buyers want, and or they're either priced too high for buyers. So just for whatever reason, we're seeing a good amount of homes on the market, but not as much activity as sales. Now we did see in contracts are about the same, really, very negligible difference there. So we're seeing that, but we're still seeing more homes available, but yet the same amount of in contracts, which some of these will fall out. And so next month, well, they may have fell out last year as well. So we'll probably see about the similar amount of sales as we did last year as well in July. So average sales continue to go up compared to last June, but a little bit more modest. Again, that's kind of the theme of the year. We're seeing modest growth, but with higher interest rates and higher prices, we're still seeing a good, healthy growth in Columbus, still making it a seller's market here still, even though we're seeing less home sell. And this is where it's kind of tricky because I've noticed this with my sellers and some of the homes that I'm seeing, is that we're seeing homes sit for a really long time. So the homes that are selling quick, and the ones that are not selling are sitting for a long time. And so that's adding up to those houses on market. But at the same time, we're still seeing a pretty high level of homes hit the market and go out off the market really quick. So the good homes are really selling. Homes that just aren't what buyers are looking for, or in areas buyers aren't looking for, are sitting a lot longer. So as a seller, you need to understand that that's why getting your house ready to sell is so much more important today than it has been. And it's always been important, but I think today and more so that, understanding the nuances of what people are looking for, what will allow a home to sell or not, is going to be important, especially this time of year. In the fall, late summer to fall, we see buyers be a little more picky and are waiting for the right house at the right price. And so we're still, still seeing strong numbers. We're seeing a little slowdown in a sense of how fast things are selling. But we did see, the peak. And I want to talk about last month. If you listen to my video last month or watch my video last month, I kind of talk about May is typically the peak of the market in Columbus. And we saw that. So if you actually look back, I'm going to show you May. We saw May's numbers, average price was 385. Go back to June, we're seeing 384. So very, very close, 384, 700. So we're going to see a little bit of a flat line when it comes from May to June. That's pretty typical in summer. We always see summer kind of slow down or flat line when it comes to pricing. What happens is sellers, continue to price things like they're going to continue to go up forever and always. But there's a nuance in the Columbus market where in the summer it flatlines, fall it starts to dip down. And so there's just homes that, continue to be overpriced, but then there's negotiations that happen that come back down, and often those come under what things have sold around it in the spring. But we're seeing that median price is 334 and 330, so a little bit bigger drop there compared to last month when it comes to median. And average price per square foot, again, I like to look at all these numbers holistically. It was 209 this month. Last month it was 208. 9.92. So very similar margins there, but we are seeing that, that things start to, the growth stop month to month. And that's the important thing in Columbus. Like we have yearly cycles where one month and the next month may be different, but yearly we are seeing things go up and to the right. So if you're just looking at a yearly schedule and think that, hey, everything's going to go up and to the right, always, in Columbus, yeah, if you look at the numbers on year to year, we're still seeing appreciation every month. But looking at it month to month, we're seeing those patterns happen. And I love this chart down here. I harp on this chart a lot because it just shows you visually what the patterns look like in Columbus in the last 10 years. You can see the ebbs and flows. And this is where we can really start to predict what's going to happen and have some strategy behind. If you're looking to list in the late summer or fall, there's a little bit of nuance. You have to understand what buyers' perspectives are, that they've been, in the spring, they're trained that they're going to be 10 offers on every house and they have to be very competitive. But summer hits and all of a sudden, agents start to figure out, well, there may only be one offer. We may be the only offer we get. And there's a little bit more negotiation that can take place. And so as a seller, you have to position yourself to be in a position to get that, at least that offer, or maybe get two offers still. There's ways to do that, and there's ways to, not do that. There's ways to overprice it and not position your house correctly to where it sits, and then your negotiations with potentially a negotiation, or in that cycle of having to drop your price until you find the right price for the buyer. So anyways, what we see often is that sellers think this line is going to go up and to the right always and not, forever, but it doesn't. It dips down for a multitude of reasons, and I've talked about it before in the past. I don't want to spend a ton of time on that, but the spring market is where the competition is. It's where competition leads to pricing increases, and it also leads to better terms, not just price. It also, something I want to remind sellers of is that when you have competition for a house, it's not only the price that gets higher, but it's also the terms that get better. You may get someone willing to forego repairs that are needed on a house because there's three other people that are willing to do it as well. In the summer, we see that stuff kind of slow down. So not that you can't get that stuff done. It's just gonna be more important to think about that before you list and where to position it. And so what we're going to see is we're going to see a little bit of flatlining. We don't see it quite yet. When this chart comes out, we're going to see this flatline and start coming down the next few months, is what I believe. And just how much, it's hard to say, but you can see here the patterns is typically about half of the growth. So half of our growth till now, we can maybe see like that, however much that is, we're going to see that come back down about halfway. So, um, you know, let's go. I think I have January's pulled up here. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. January. Got lucky here. We're seeing a 331 average price per sale. And this month we saw about 384. So, so you can take that, divide it in half, which is what's, I'm gonna do quick math here. Let's just say 385 minus 330 is what, $50,000. So let's say about $25,000 swing there. You can say, okay, maybe prices come down to that. Where are we at? So around that 350 mark, or that 360 mark, close, give or take, on average. And this is an average, and same, you can kind of do the same with the median price point, because that is actually a median price point chart. So look at that. The median price point in January was 286. Say 285, and we had 334 to 335 essentially. So again, you're looking at around $25,000 to $30,000 difference there. And so that's where you can kind of think about, okay, how much is going to come down, pricing as a whole. And that's a significant number for a buyer looking to make a decision. But also, one thing that's nice about this time of year is that not only is the prices that are affected, but you can also focus on terms as a buyer. You can focus on the terms that if there's no other offers on the table, maybe you don't come down as much in price, and maybe you want to get that money thrown into credit, maybe towards your closing costs, and keep some of that money in your pocket, even though you're maybe financing it a little bit more. You can actually have money in your pocket. And the nice thing about it is that we have comps that may help those houses appraise for the price that you're listing it at, or making an offer at, yet you're still able to save a little money and put it in your pocket and make repairs or do what you want with the house, and have a little cash. Or you can decide, hey, I just want to get the house at a lower price. Great. Those are things that can happen this time of year more often than not, and kind of go from there. So another way to look at this is June of 23. You can kind of see what happened in June of 23 and what happened last year. We saw that flat line. I want to go into what's going to happen, I believe, in the next few months. So we look at July of 23 and July of 23 compared to June 23. So we can kind of look at last month or last year's this time and say, okay, what happened? The same thing happened last year. Maybe it's going to happen this year. And so average sale price in last June was around the 370 mark. And we saw it come down about 10K and the average price and the median price, we're looking at 315 to 322 to again back to 315. So about a 7% drop or $7,000 drop there. So we're still seeing some significant drops as the months go on, and looking at July here in June, you can see that number, that line start to come down. So just things that can start to consider as you're thinking about buying this time of year. You kind of can be patient. Now, the trouble with this is that not all houses are the same. And if you wait too long and you're like, I'm waiting, I'm kind of playing the market and I'm waiting for the right house to come up at the right time, you can be in trouble because the house that you love may go away. And there's still, if you love a house, someone else still may love a house. Again, this is still a seller's market. I want to reiterate that. This is not saying that there's, the buyers have all the control. It's still a seller's market as we see these ebbs and flows every year. It's just an easier time for buyers to buy a house in the late summer to fall for Columbus, Ohio. The trade-off of that is that if you get, the good houses, people who tend to prepare and, know that the window to sell their house to get the top dollar is the spring market, we're left with ones that are kind of like either behind the game for whatever reason, or didn't know, or just have to sell, and they didn't have time to redo the house. They didn't have time to make the house what it wants. So the better, there's a majority of the homes that are nice and what buyers want happen to sell in the spring. That's part of the reason why we see these numbers. A lot of people that wait a whole year, like, hey, I'm going to wait till spring to sell my house because I know that I get top dollar, but I'm also doing updates. I'm also doing landscaping. I'm also doing all the things that get top dollar and be prepared for spring, which in the fall, we tend to get people that, hey, they either lost a job or had to move out for whatever reason. It's more of a quicker decision. And then they don't tend to do the things to get top dollar. So as buyers, you may have to do repairs yourself. You may have to do the things yourself and not see the houses exactly. The houses aren't going to be exactly what you want potentially. Now, that's not true across the board. It's just averages that I see and stuff that I notice. So keep in mind, as a buyer, I tend to tell buyers, don't wait if the right house is available. Focus on, hey, if you buy the house in June, yes, prices will come down. You may lose money, technically in appreciation in a couple months. But looking at the stats, you will again make money by next June. I just want to reiterate one more point here as I leave you, that just because this is the trend that things tend to slow down in the summer and then fall, kind of prices continue to fall in the fall. And we still see there's some bumps along the way, that there may be a reason. Like last year, we actually saw, if you look at July into August, we actually saw prices have a little bit of an uptick, and then September they came back down. So there's a little bit of off month where the trends tend to happen for whatever reason. If you look at, July average price was 360, and it was 367 in August, and then come September, it jumped down to 348. So it didn't make up for that in September, but who knows exactly why. Maybe it was interest rates influence there. We did see a little bit of spike, a little bit of rates come down. If you want to look at that, interest rates here in July, look at July numbers, you saw a little bit of a dip in July to August and then go back up in September throughout the fall. And that may have influenced why people, decided to make a jump. Maybe there was just better homes in the market that month for whatever reason. We don't really know, but just want to let you know, and you can kind of see what interest rates are doing here. I like to always look at this chart of interest rates. We did see another little drop. So this may influence people to make that, they talking to their loan officer and all of a sudden they're realizing, hey, I can afford more house now. Let's go out and start looking. And also hearing that, hey, things aren't as crazy as they used to be. Let's go out and look. We don't have to make, not competing with 10 people in every house. Maybe we can, there's some houses that we've liked on Zillow that have sat and didn't sell right away. Let's start looking. So we see a lot of that factor. Maybe we see a bump and we start seeing the people that are wanting to look and buy this time of year, find a house and get in a home. And with that said, though, we are in an election year, and I've just listened to something the other day that said in an election year we see higher appreciation rates than we do the prior year to the election year and the year post to the election year. And I think one factor of that is that we have two candidates that are boasting about how great it's going to be once they're elected and how the economy is going to go, just going to continue to go well the next 4 years. So people have a lot of sentiment and, may just say, okay, well, they have some trust that things are going to go well, and they go out and buy large things, including a house, are more likely to do that. Now, that's obviously just trends that we see. So something to be aware of if you are looking to buy or sell. This may not be the worst time to sell a house, knowing that interest rates are starting to come down a little bit, and there's pressure to do that. We have an election year that's going to help maybe get some people wanting to make a move. We have a little more confidence to do something. So just keep those factors in mind. Otherwise, if you want to talk more about your situation and your location, if you're looking to sell or looking to buy, if you want to help learn about the process and how we can help you get in a home, and have at the best value, but also make sure that you're getting the best terms for you as well. Happy to talk about you and your situation. Reach out to me at either email or text. Happy to set up a time to get together and talk more about it. Thanks again for tuning in. And if you like these videos, if you find them helpful, please subscribe before you leave so we can get more people involved in this and get more people tuning in. Thanks again.